So in this video, we want to help you get an immediate change in your ability to sit on the floor, whether you're sitting directly on the floor or you're sitting on a bolster or a yoga block. And what people would love to have happen is the knees go further and further down to the floor, whether your legs are crossed or you're seated with your feet together.
And also, John, they don't want to feel like they're pitched back, right?
Yeah, you don't want to feel like you're being pushed backwards. You want to be more comfortable in the pose. You want to, have your sits bones under you. And the common and obvious thing is that these are tight and they won't lengthen to go further. And what we want to introduce to you is the idea that the muscles on the back outside of the leg need to contract and shorten to allow this. So because flexibility is really a two-way street. It's muscles lengthening on one side that you're lengthening, and on the other side of the arm, leg, body are muscles that need to shorten sufficiently. And so let's do a stretch. We're going to teach you a resistance stretch for the lateral hamstring, the bladder meridian on the back outside of the leg, and see if something changes. So join along with us, and we'll do about a dozen repetitions on the back outside of our right leg. I'm just going to pull out this mat here just so I can be able to create some resistance. And okay, so right leg forward, I'm on my left knee. And in order to focus on the lateral hamstring, just turn that leg out a little bit. Make sure there's a bend in your knee. It's great if you can flex your foot. You get a better contraction in the hamstring, but not necessary. Okay, start position. Here we are. Now what? The resistance. The resistance has to happen. So pull the heel down and back toward the back of your mat. You can feel the outside of your leg engage and resist. Keep that resistance while you fold forward and then let it go and come back to the start. And so the range of motion for anyone will be determined by your ability to maintain the resistance, to maintain your heel driving back. Keep those hips square. Let it go. So we're doing resistance stretches for the lateral hamstring because we want to give you a better understanding of flexibility and how the body moves better, because we're always focusing on the muscles that need to lengthen and we're not focusing on the muscles that need to shorten. So this is at least half the equation. Obviously, it's half the equation because muscles are lengthening and muscles are shortening together. But our inability to move is because the muscles won't contract and shorten. So keep pulling that heel back. Keep pulling that heel back as you fold forward. Relax on the way up. You can use your hand to feel what's going on in your lateral hamstring. This is a great stretch for the health of your bladder. It happens to run along the bladder meridian. But for our purposes today, we're going to see if it changes our seated pose on the floor. So pull back. We're going to do about a dozen. We're about halfway there. Stay with it. Stay with it. Let it go. You can see, you might be able to see my mat buckling because the force of my heel pulling back. Let it go. And it's really all about changing the fascia. That's the key here with these movements. You get significantly stronger doing these movements, but you improve your flexibility and range of motion. Stay with it. Let it go. Resist at the start. Continue to resist all the way through. Let's do a few more. Resistance is the key. Resistance changes the tissue so it can shorten more efficiently, which is how we become stronger. And then we will naturally go into a better alignment. Okay. All right. So let's come out of that and let's sit on the ground again and see what we notice. You may notice something different, but we all may notice something different. But so as we go back into our position, the leg feels a little lower. Is it a little lower?
Yes.
A little lower?
It's lopsided compared to the other leg.
Okay, so it did get a little lower. But what I'm feeling is I'm more on my sits bones on my right buttocks. Like I'm more support. Like this one, I feel like I'm hunching over, and this one feels like it's up and back a little bit. So it's a more comfortable sitting position in addition to this going lower. So you can see that the balancing muscle, or the muscle that needs to shorten for us in this position, is the most important part of the flexibility. So do 3 sets of 10, do 3 sets of 15 or 20, and do them on a regular basis, because this is a great stretch, and it's generally the tightest muscle group in our bodies.